you know that there's a judge that started out, I started out as a paralegal, but let's even leave that. This person started out as a paralegal, was a court clerk and everything, became a judge of the High Court, a judge of the Court of Appeal, a Supreme Court judge, and an ambassador. From all that. So it's just about you and what your views are.
Good day everyone, and welcome to another interesting episode of the Advocaat Distinguished Guest Series. My name is Mariah Akagu. Our distinguished guest today is Honorable Justice Olushola Williams. She is the founder of the Institute of Paralegal Services, and our conversation today will be centered on paralegals, a fancy name for the clerks we have. Thank you, my lord, for making that time of your very busy schedule to be here with us today. You're welcome to the Advocaat Distinguished Guest Series.
It's my pleasure to be here, and I feel honored to be invited.
Thank you. Thank you. So, many of us are curious whether paralegals are actually different from clerks and registrars we have in court, or is just a glorified name for them.
Maybe we should actually first of all talk about who is a paralegal.
Okay.
We have some definitions here, so I'll just specifically read it to you. So a paralegal is a person trained to do with or in substantial or subsidiary legal matters, but not fully qualified as a lawyer. The key point is being specifically trained to meet a job description. It is the training that makes one a professional. You understand? So a professional is a person that is engaged or qualified in the profession. So when we're looking at our court clerks, are they professionals in the sense of the word? So our court clerks and registrars are not paralegals in the sense that a paralegal is a professional who performs a task that requires knowledge of legal concepts and who has been trained to actually understand those concepts and to work as a professional. So I wouldn't say that it's a qualified name. I can say that, yes, if they are properly trained, then they can be called paralegals.
Okay.
But if they are not, they are just
Court clerks. That's interesting. So is it safe to say that some litigation clerks in law firms are paralegals?
Yes, maybe they are doing some of the tasks and functions of a paralegal without being properly trained.
Okay.
So it's like you can learn on the job, but when you are then tested and you are found to have got all the principles right and you are then certified, then you can say, oh, you are properly called a paralegal. And the offside of it is looking at someone who went to a university to read law,
yes,
but never went to law school.
Oh.
You wouldn't call that person a lawyer.
Yes.
You just say he's a law graduate or something. So they've been around the legal practice, but they don't actually have the certification or the professionalism that makes them
paralegals. That's interesting. Okay. In administration of justice in Nigeria, what roles do paralegals play?
So I think in some firms actually we have people that we can call paralegals because the firms have invested in training them even before my own institute came on board. Because there are some people that also came for training and so that you got the training,
experience.
You have the experience, you have the training. And what is usually missing is just that professionalism. Because sometimes you go somewhere and you learn to do what people are doing, but you don't know the principle behind it. So if push comes to shove and you have to make a decision that is professional, you will be at a loss because you don't really know why you're doing those things, but you just know this is what we normally do, that kind of thing. So they have a role to play in any legal system. You see, the original concept of paralegal started with attorney assistants. And if you look at even the law profession, that's why we're called barristers and they're called to the bar. Know that lawyers started at the bar. There were people who were always drinking with other people at the bar, and then somebody say, oh, I have a case in court, but I don't know how to do that. But this guy is very smart and he can talk very well. So you get the brief at the bar. And that's how we became barristers, long before we started getting training. And then a profession was created called barristers and all that, and then now have. So every profession starts at a point in time. It's just like doctors too. They started with people who just know how to look after people, and then eventually now started getting training.
And a professional body.
Exactly. So they are very important to every legal system. And as Western countries or more developed countries, even Ghana, even India, realized that there is this gap in delivery of legal service that paralegals, when trained, will fill. Then the profession just got stronger and stronger. So they are very relevant to every legal system, and particularly Nigeria. So I don't know if I've answered
You really answered the question.
Right.
Thank you. That's interesting to know. So, do you think the roles and responsibilities of paralegals overlap with those of legal registrars we have in courts?
So you know the funny thing about the legal registrars we have in court now, they're actually lawyers. So the people we call, you know, in court now, over the last maybe 3 or 4 years or even 5 years, they now have what they call legal registrars, who are lawyers that have even gone to law school, and they now sit with, you know, the judge and the other court clerks, and because they now have the legal. So those are not lawyers, although we have lawyer paralegals. So we have lawyers who are trained as lawyers, but because of where they have found themselves in the legal ecosystem, they now only practice as paralegals. They don't do real, you know, they maybe go into court to argue a case. But every person on the legal ecosystem has a role to play. You just need to identify your own role, exactly. So now the law clerks, like I said, that we have, what doesn't make them paralegal is that they don't have the training in the principles and in the professionalism. But they can be upskilled at any time. You know what I mean? It's just like a lot of people go to school, and you might have read English, for instance, and I might have read religious studies or something, and then I come into the market and I realize, I'm not going anywhere with these degrees. And then you go and do ICAM. And they become accountants. You know what I mean? So there's always that room to upskill and become something. And there are people who, especially abroad, I can't go through the trouble of going to law school. There are lawyers who don't want to go to law school. They will make the best paralegals once they get that training that they need, you know, to go that certification. So they're very relevant. They can be. In fact, what I would say about our court clerks and our registrars is that they have really tried. In spite of not having the training, they have actually trudged on and, you know, struggled with the things that they have learned, and they have been working hard. And that's all the problems I had in Nigeria, that you give people jobs, you don't train them
the proper training.
Then you complain about them. So a lot of things they do wrong is because they don't know the principle behind the thing.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. Okay. Can anybody become, okay, of course, you've already said it's professional training. What are the special qualities or qualifications one need to be an exceptional paralegal? So
what I would say is that in life, just like I talked about being an accountant, you just need to acquire those skills. If your mind is made up that you want to be a paralegal, and then maybe whatever training you have had, because you've had lawyers who become doctors, and you have doctors who become lawyers, you have accountants who become, and all that. So once you get that training and you are then ready to work. Now, so what are the professional trainings? I always laugh. Our clerks, like I said, they have performed tasks that paralegals do without actually having to change them. Some of them draft documents. I remember once I saw my clerk saw the affidavit in support of a motion and said to the lawyer that my judge is going to complain. Wow. Because this is bad. That's my clerk telling the lawyer. And when I didn't even know that conversation had taken place. When I saw the affidavit, I said, excuse me, counsel, did you draft this affidavit? Not one sentence in this affidavit is grammatically correct. Then he said, oh, I was in a hurry, and this and that and the other. So there are things that lawyers, by their training, cannot do. Because they are not, every time, for instance, I remember I do 10 years. When you're telling a lawyer a story, what is basic mechanism? What is your rights there? Okay, so what is the law supporting you? He's not even taking down the nitty-gritty and the details. Lawyers are bad at documentation. If you give them a story and you have 100 letters that support the story, sometimes they lose the documents, and they're in court and they're examining their witness. So you have a receipt for that thing. Okay, where's the receipt? I gave it to my lawyer.
Wow.
This is the lawyer asking the question. So there are some things that you learn documentation, you learn professionalism, you learn how to conduct interviews, how to conduct certain research, factual research, not legal research. But there are some things about legal writing, how to even draft those affidavits, the English and legal terms. And I always tell this joke because my father was a judge and he had and a recorder, as they call, and whatever, his own clerk. And then he adjourned the matter sine die, which is a legal term. So when he read the notes that the clerk had made, the clerk said the matter was adjourned because a sinner died.
Oh, Jesus.
Because he didn't understand that Latin term, which means without a date. That's what sine die means. So here, for instance, they learned a lot of legal phrases and things like that.
That's quite impressive. I don't think Nigeria has any regulatory framework for paralegals in Nigeria. But if I'm right, okay. If I'm wrong, then that's okay. But if I'm right, what steps is Nigeria taking into regulating paralegals in Nigeria?
Because you know the funny thing, like I said, how the legal profession develops. Every profession takes its baby steps, goes through things because you then formalize it. You understand? Like I talked about how lawyers, you can imagine how the legal profession is, how it was that people didn't have to go to school to do it. A lot of times there was pupillage until sometimes some people gather together and said, okay, this is the curriculum you must have, this is what you must do. Every profession develops along those lines. So paralegalism is developing everywhere. Okay. It has developed a lot in America, in Canada, and so on, but everywhere it develops up to a stage where people then decide that, oh, we want to formalize it. I, for instance, have been speaking to a senator that is in charge of law matters, and he was saying, oh, you have to get other institutions like yours together to agitate for a law. I've spoken to the Bar Association, you have to work with the Bar Association. In fact, in a lot of countries like America, where over the years, because it's a relatively new profession, I think it started around 1966 or something like that, so it's relatively new. Mm-hmm. But they now have their own rules, which they get out of the rules of legal practice, and then they now create a body of rules. So it's something that is
still developing.
But thank you very much.
That's interesting. So apart from course and legal practice, where do you think a paralegal can properly fit in?
Oh wow, there's no place where paralegals cannot fit in. And I have some books, I have a lot of books about how the profession has developed in America. And I even have done a lot of arts. Now you can have paralegals working with lawyers, that is standard, working in law firms. We had a paralegal here who worked in a construction firm.
Wow.
And the reason why they sent her here was because as construction firms, they do a lot of contracts. So they need somebody who can at least understand the contracts when they're, even before they give it to their lawyer, even when the lawyer gives it back to them. And they can properly document and know something. So they needed someone like that. So you can have lawyers. You also have the very important one for Nigeria, for instance, which they have in the north, is that there are a lot of societies and communities where people cannot afford lawyers. So they have like community dispute resolution. They have like chiefs and things like that. So you need someone who will help you write those cases down and things like that, working with those community leaders who hear cases. So there are many fields that those are just a few, but I can tell you, in firms, in companies, in societies, in NGOs, things like that, where there's a bit of legal flavor, like in the House of Assembly, for instance, you need, in law libraries, so there are many roles apart from working with a lawyer, and it's always an open field. There's always ready job for everybody's asking me, I need a paralegal. I said, train your own. Don't come and ask me, because they need training. That's the whole point. So you are complaining, oh, my paralegal is just so useless. My assistant, but did you invest in training? Of course, there's a Nigerian problem where I spoke to somebody over the weekend and I said, oh yes, the paralegal. I said, the problem is when you train them, they run away. I said, okay, so are you going to not train them and struggle just because of that? It's always happened. Even the ones who do train will still
I think that's a problem everywhere. Exactly. Okay, so what are the career advancement opportunities for paralegals in Nigerian justice system?
It's not even just in Nigeria. Do you know that there's a judge that started out, I started out as a paralegal, but let's even believe that this person started out as a paralegal, was a court clerk and everything, became a judge of the High Court, a judge of the Court of Appeal, a Supreme Court judge, and an ambassador. From all that. So it's just about you and what your views are. A lot of paralegals want to become lawyers and they can become lawyers, but they don't have to be. They are managing partners in firms. Like I said, there are people who work, if you work in the House of Assembly, for instance, you can get to be director or whatever in that, because you have law reform committee, you have, so it's a wide field and it just keeps growing. You know, another very interesting thing, in America, they have what they call independent paralegals. So when we develop up to that stage, you can set up your own firm where you are an independent paralegal and you serve like 5 or 6 law firms.
Having your own people.
Exactly. So you do what a paralegal does on a contract basis for different firms. So those are independent paralegals. So it's a wide, because it's developing, it's growing.
It's actually a very nice.
Yes. And I have someone who has been a principal of a school, and she said, I want to do this so that when I retire, I'll have something to do.
That's impressive. Yes. What are the likely challenges paralegals face, and what do you think is a possible solution to these challenges?
First of all, I think we all face the challenges of Nigeria and jobs and whatever. But one of the biggest challenges for me now is that there's this, should I say, antagonism of lawyers. Lawyers feel, if you go and train them now, they will not be too big for their britches. They will not be arguing with me and trying to teach me law. You know what I mean? And I think that Nigeria, a lot of people don't actually want professionals. Because when I was talking one of these occasions, I said, look, a paralegal is a professional in its own right. Just as a nurse is a professional. You may think that a nurse is subservient to a doctor, but a nurse has a profession. In America, they also have medical technicians, like those that work with ambulances. So everybody is a professional in their own right. So when you have a trained paralegal, I don't think you're going to send him to buy corn and granules. Then you have to stop there,
of course,
and get an office messenger whose job it is to buy granules. So lawyers don't want a professional who will look them in the face and say, I'm sorry, that's not part of my job description. So they feel, okay, so you train them, they're going to become proud. But I don't think so. I think that everybody should understand what professionalism is. And when you know what your paralegals are bringing to the table, you give them the respect they deserve. So I think that issue of lawyers thinking, they're going to get too big for their shoes, I wish I want to train them, is one of the things. But I believe that when you bring good things to the table, when people see you that, in fact, there's a Yoruba proverb that it depends on how you see me. So when I'm a professional and I come and I do my job, it's very difficult for you to come and give me a bowl and say, go and buy rice. It will be a bit hard, So it also depends on you. So that issue of identifying that paralegals are professionals is one of the challenges that they will have. Then, of course, there's a challenge of lawyers thinking they will begin to impersonate lawyers. So there's also there's a possibility of that. So they think you have not even taught them legal concepts. They're already pretending that they're lawyers and signing documents. When you now teach them and they know a few legal terms, they will now start pretending. But let me tell you, every profession has quirks. You have quirk doctors. You are going to have as a profession to weed out those people who don't belong in your profession. So that is the problem of the legal profession. Unfortunately, there's a solution actually, because there's now an app.
Okay.
That's a lawyer's app that if someone tells you I'm a lawyer and they want to brief you, you go on that app and type the person's name. If the person's name is not there, that person is not called to the bar. But you do know that some Nigerians don't even really want a lawyer. They want somebody to pretend to be a lawyer because they don't want to pay a lawyer's fees. So that is not the fault of the paralegal. That's the situation. But the legal profession itself has to weed out. Because if you see a good lawyer, you will know that this is a lawyer. And if it's somebody who is not a lawyer, you should be able to tell in their comportment and everything. So we are the ones who should bring ourselves up to standard as lawyers. And when you see someone who is not a lawyer, you will know that this person is not a lawyer. Those kind of things. So I don't think there's any challenge that cannot be overcome. I can identify, those challenges. And I can also identify the challenge of the paralegal in that after I've invested so much in myself, learning all these things, maybe a year, maybe 9 months, how much am I going to be paid? Because everybody's underpaid in Nigeria. Anyway.
Yes.
So it might feel like, it's really worth my while to go through this training, but you are bettering yourself and you will always have other opportunities. I believe that I always laugh that you have to pay the price of the new kid on the block for a few years. But when you're set and maybe you've even identified, because paralegals can specialize. So it can be a litigation. If you just go on LinkedIn and see advertisements for paralegals, you'll be surprised abroad. So you can have land law paralegals, commercial paralegals, family law paralegals. So once you specify and you're good at what you do, your fees will keep going up because you become indispensable to the firm. You know that in America, paralegals earn more than lawyers. because it is cheaper for a firm to employ 5 paralegals than to employ 5 lawyers. So what happens in lots of, America, we don't even have big firms here. We have a firm that has 15 lawyers. I would think we are big. In America, you have firms that have 100 lawyers.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? So they are not going to then give all the work to all the lawyers. When they have 100 lawyers, they have 200 paralegals. That's how it works, because you know that paralegal is going to do the grunt work. So they employ more paralegals and less lawyers. In fact, a lot of lawyers here do paralegals jobs. So it's like what we always say about women. There's a joke that we were told in Ghana that instead of you to face what you're supposed to face, you'll be doing something else. Then your husband will now, escape with the house help because you were letting the house help do. So that's what happens with lawyers. You're supposed to face your research and trial, but you're busy going to file papers and busy going, so you are not able to do what you're supposed to do as a lawyer, because a paralegal should be doing that. They should be doing the grunt work while you just face the real hardcore legal work. So those are the challenges that I see.
That's very, very impressive. One last word from you to like persons, young people, organizations looking in that direction of maybe becoming a paralegal or setting up a paralegal institute or something. Do you have any last word for anybody who is still having doubts?
No, you see, one of the things I always say is that there's a ready market for a paralegal. Every time, if I show you my phone, lawyer said, I need a paralegal. Can I get one yesterday? Not today, you know what I mean? So, and there are also a lot of young people, because Nigeria, we have a funny system. Everybody goes to school to get a degree. So somebody goes to school and says, what did you study? Maybe religious studies. So what are you going to do with it? What did you study? History. So you don't even have professional outlook. You understand what I'm saying? So if you study any degree, it's like any degree in administration, you're supposed to be able to work anywhere. Even when you have read law, you are not a lawyer until you go to law school. Then you go to law school, you have to also practice in a firm. So a lot of people, I believe, and that's one of the reasons, that's one of the pains I had that made me set up this institute. There are a lot of young people around them who have just gone to university and are busy looking for jobs, and they don't know what they want to do. Come and get a training and be accredited as a professional, and I tell you, if you are serious and work hard, the job is waiting for you. Everybody wants, every lawyer, most lawyers, like serious lawyers, know that we are getting tired, we can't cope. I'm getting adjournments, I'm missing cases because
you're busy
filing papers running around. When if I had a good paralegal, I would face my core job and all that. So the jobs are, so I would advise young people, especially a lot of people who think, law, I love law, but study for 4 years. After that, go to law school, then do youth work. What is going to happen to me? How will my family eat? As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, some people started a foundation in the name of justice revival, and it is for people who they are the breadwinners in their family, but they are law students. Because there are people like that. So that while you are waiting to go to law school, anything can come and have this paralegal certification and then earn a living while you're doing so. Because abroad, people actually work and study at the same time. So I think that young people should seize this opportunity. Well, for instance, working with Unilag and all that, so that have this, once you have your degree or whatever, you're looking for a job, get some money together, have a certification. If you're ready to work, you will get a job. That's it.
Thank you, my love. It's been a very interesting and insightful session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's a privilege to be called upon, and I'm hoping that you will be able to get the word out there that we just need to, if you're ready to work, because it seems as if half the people want to be musicians and dancers. So if you want to work as a professional, just get the training and there's a ready job for you.
Thank you so much, my lord. And thank you so much, everyone, for staying tuned with us, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Please visit our website, our LinkedIn page, and other social media platforms to be updated on all our previous episodes and other interesting contents that we have. Till we meet again, I remain Mariah Akagu.